producing a right quality of goods to your customer. Yeah.
Okay, sir, the participants want presentation only in English.
Okay. Okay. Great. Then I will present only in English. Yeah. Uh, so moving forward, there are six steps majorly defined under any operation management role. Those are problem management, financial management, safety management, supply chain, resource planning, and quality management. So in this presentation, we would be covering all the six steps one by one and what is the role of a chemical engineer in each and every step. The first is the problem management. In this, there are four key elements that is very important for a person to have to become a problem solver. First is the subject matter expert. Now, in any chemical manufacturing company, if a chemical engineer is taking up a job of problem management, then he would be having the knowledge of his academic, in which he would have done lot of study about the mass balance, heat balance, and having worked in various industries, he must also have seen various equipments to solve various problems. So he must always have a subject matter expertise in the field in which he want to solve the problem. Second thing is visibility to holistic and accurate data. So here actually it is said that the solution is as good as the data on which the solution is worked upon. So if you are having a set of data and you know that it is accurate, then only you will be able to arrive at a right solution. So here a chemical engineer, in any given chemical plant, there are a lot of data are getting generated every second. So a chemical engineer role is to bifurcate which of the data will be useful to solve the problem and which will not be useful to solve the problems. So here's where the subject matter expert of a chemical engineer come into picture. Third is a consistent and a coordinate process. You must have heard of a quote that if you want a result as sweet as honey, then you have to work like a bee. The bees work in a team. You have to be a people manager. You have to manage a lot of people who are either your colleague or working under you. So you have to work along with them. And for that, you need to have a subject matter expert and you must have a visibility of which data to collect. Then only those people would be listening to you. And the final is clear decision making capability. Here come the leadership quality of any person. So these four things are very important to become a problem solver. Now, what are the tools that a chemical engineer use to solve various problems in any plant? So some of them are fishbone diagram, 5S, Pareto analysis, Kaizen. Some of them we will discuss in the following presentation. So the first one is the fishbone diagram. So you would be asking that why is it called a fishbone diagram? So if you will look at this diagram, you will see that it just looks like a fishbone. So what you need to do, for example, there is some problem in the plant. For example, you are running a manufacturing plant and you are having a problem that the batch cycle time is very high. So you will go to your team and you will present this diagram to them. Any problem in a chemical manufacturing site will either fall under any of the six categories. Either there's a problem with the method or the machine or the person, measurement, material or mother nature. So we will say that the problem is, for example, batch cycle time is very high. So in that case, why is the batch cycle time very high? So you will list down all the points consulting with the team so that the project starter is now prepared. Now the second step is doing a Viva analysis. Now you know that there are certain problems in your plant. From the fishbone diagram, you came to know that there are 10 problems falling under various categories. Now what you will do, it is said that the solution to any problem can be answered if you are keep on asking why that thing is happening. So for example, if I will say that my batch cycle is very high, so I will ask why is the batch cycle time very high. So the question will come that we are adding the raw material very slowly. Why we are adding the raw material slowly? Because the reaction is exothermic and we are not having the very high, low cooling water. So why is the cooling water temperature not low? Because the cooling tower is not performing well. So now what we need to do? We need to do the overhauling and the maintenance of the cooling tower. So by asking 5 questions, why, you would be at the end able to get the answer. Sometimes you can get the answer within 2 or 3 whys also. Yeah. And after that, you need to do a Pareto analysis. Now, what the rule of the Pareto analysis is that not just within plant, but also in our life also, the 80% of the problems are just because of the 20% of the issues. So Pareto analysis is actually used to prioritize which problem to solve first. For example, in a company, there are 100 problems in different section of the plant, and you are having only 5 days of shutdown. Then how to plan that 5 days of shutdown? That can be done with the help of Pareto analysis. So what you will do, you will list down which of the problems are occurring many number of times. For example, one of the pump is failing like 50 numbers of time in a month. So that can be shown with the help of Pareto diagram that this pump is failing 50 times, this pump is failing only 20 times, and other pump is failing only 10 times. So you can directly target the pump which is 50 failing 50 number of time, and you can solve around 50 to 60% of your problem in just one shot, instead of putting extra effort on the pump which is not failing more than 2 or 3 times in a month. So here we have taken the frequency of the problem. Sometimes you can also take like, for example, one problem is occurring, but it is taking 40 hours of downtime. Jabki another problem is happening that is happening 14 times a month, but the total downtime is only 2 hours. So in that case, instead of frequency of problem, you can take the total downtime period also. So just by solving that one problem, you will be able to solve like 50 to 60% of the problem that is occurring in the plant. So Pareto analysis is mostly used to prioritize the improvement opportunities. After that,
Mr. Akash, Mr.
yeah,
Akash, if you
yeah,
can again present your or resume your presentation, maybe
okay.
it must have stopped. You can resume.
Oh, okay,
Okay, yes.
okay,
I think now all the participants will be able to see.
okay, okay. Then I will start again.
No,
Yeah.
just you to resume from the last slide, what you are presenting.
Oh, okay. From the Pareto chart.
Yes, Pareto chart. Yes.
Yeah. So after the Viva analysis, the next is the Pareto. So first of all, you have in the fishbone diagram, you identify what are the problems. In Viva analysis, you find out what are the solutions. Now you have to implement those solutions. So how you will implement the solution is through the Pareto analysis. So what we do in the Pareto analysis is, for example, you have identified that we can solve 100 problems which will increase our production capacity. But you are having, for example, only 10 days of time for your shutdown. So what you will do is you will draft a Pareto chart and you will see that which problem is occurring more number of time. So here you can see that one problem is occurring 20 number of time, while other problem is occurring only 10 number of time, and other problems are occurring either 2 or 3 times a month. So you can here prioritize that, okay, I will first of all solve these two problems. So by this solving these two problems, you will be able to solve 80% of your problem. So Pareto chart is help us to prioritize the improvement opportunity when your time constraint is very less. Next term is the Kaizen. Kaizen is actually a Japanese term which means that first of all you study your system and improve the system by eliminating the waste. So in Kaizen, what is defined that there are 7 types of waste in any manufacturing site. We call it waste, Japanese call it mudas. Yeah. So as you can see, these waste are either in terms of transportation, inventory, movement, waiting, over processing, overproduction, and defects. So I will just give you some example of them. For example, transportation.
Mr. Akash, again
Yeah.
presentation is not able to be visible. So
Oh,
one thing I can do, let me present the
okay.
slides. Okay, you
Okay.
can
Okay.
close.
Sure.
I'm starting.
Okay. ठीक है.
You just guide me. I will show the presentation.
Okay.
Just tell me where to stop.
Yeah. So you can stop over here. Yeah. You can just stop over here. you please do full screen?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there are several different types of waste in any chemical engineering, chemical manufacturing plant. So I would just like to, yeah. So just one second. Yeah. So I would just like to give some example for some of them. For example, transportation. So for example, some raw material is coming to your plant in the form of barrel. Then you have to take this barrel where the manufacturing is happening. Then you have to lift it from the ground floor to the third floor. Then you have to pour that barrel into a reactor. So here you can see lot of movements is happening. So there's a loss of man hours. That person can be given some other useful work also, but he is more busy doing this manual operation. Then there is a safety concern also, because transporting a hazardous chemical in a chemical plant is one of the safety concern and hazard also. So these all things are there. So you can think of an alternative for that. Like you can bring the raw material in the tanker, you can empty the tanker in a storage tank, and you can pump it into the raw material. So here you are not compromising on the safety. Second thing is your manpower is also available to do or some other useful work. So like this, you can eliminate the transportation waste. And other thing is, for example, overproduction. For example, your monthly requirement is only 100 metric ton. You are getting the order consistently for 90 to 100 metric ton, but you are producing every month 150 metric ton. Now you would be asking that what is the disadvantage? We are producing more, we can settle it in the next month also. But the thing is that once you are producing the final product, that means that you have to then preserve that as good as what it was there when it was produced. For example, you are selling that after 6 months, but if its quality is degrading, that the customer will not take. So overproduction is also a kind of waste, because you need to put an expanse to one person to monitor the condition of the final good also. And the final one is the defects. It is said that the energy that goes in making the things right is equal to the energy that goes in doing the wrong thing. So if you are doing the things wrong, if you are not producing the quality material, then in that case, customer is not going to pay for that. That burden will come to you. So we have always to try to reduce as much defect as possible in a chemical manufacturing plant. Jigesh, next please.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a typical template that is used for Kaizen, in which, for example, XYZ section in your plant, it may be a warehouse or the production section. Then you will note down one by one what are the wastage in that plant. And then you will tick mark which type of waste it is, whether it's because of transportation or because of movements or waiting. And you can then see the status also, that whether you have completed that or not. So like that, every section in your plant, you use this template and list down what are the wastage that is happening in that section, and one by one you can solve the problems and make your plant more efficient. Jigesh, next slide please. So here we end the first section of our presentation, that was the solving the problem, that is the problem management. Next come is the finance management. Yeah. So the main objective of the finance management is to increase the profit. Second is the wealth maximization, and third is ensuring that the financial discipline is there in the organization. Now, how we do a wealth maximization and how a chemical engineer can help out in that. Chemical engineer can take part in where to invest, which product to invest. That type of suggestions will come only from a chemical engineer. And second thing is that ensuring a financial discipline in the organization. If you are making a investment, you have to show the ROI for that. That is a return of investment. For example, you are asking from the management that I want a new equipment which can increase my production from 150 metric ton to 200 metric ton, and the investment required is like 50 lakh rupees. Then you have to show that if you are investing that 50 lakh rupees, then what is the return of that? Within how much months you will get the return? So such things are done by a chemical engineer. Yeah. So talking about the role of a chemical engineer in financial management, one of the major role of an operation manager is to calculate the variable cost of the product. So for calculating the variable cost of the product, the operation manager needs to know what are the raw materials that are used, what is the cost of that, what are the utilities used. Various utilities are used in a chemical manufacturing plant, like chilled water, cooling water, steam, electricity, and where all these things are going. So such type of things can be done by a chemical engineer. So this is how a chemical engineer can help calculate what is the utility consumption of a chemical engineering plant and how you can optimize it. Second is the calculation of ROI. Not just calculation of ROI, but chemical engineer can give the suggestions and put up the points that what things can boost or reduce the ROI. Because once you calculate the ROI, that okay, for example, 50 metric ton production will increase, but in the case is that the plant should produce a quality product that is required by our customer. So if though the ROI looks very good, but we are not able to sell the customer, so such kind of inputs will come from a chemical engineer. So the third point of a presentation is safety management. Safety is of prime importance in any chemical manufacturing plant, and some of the companies also put safety above their production. Now you must be thinking that in safety management, how can a chemical engineer contribute? This is the entire pathway of a safety management. First of all, a company drafts a safety policy. Safety policy shows what is the mission and the vision of a company. So here is just one example of a safety policy. The objective of the policy here, as it is written, that to avoid, eliminate, and control workplace hazard. Then second thing is provide employee with safety information, supervision, and training appropriate to the hazard. And the third is continuous improvement, improving the standards of occupational safety and health for all employees. Yeah. So, Jigesh, you are following?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. Jigesh, can you please come to the
Safety management.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So, looking at this graph, you can see the pathway. So now once the policy, the mission and the vision of a company is very clear now. Now we have to draft the planning of that. We have to make our people understand that how important the safety is for them. So that comes under planning. You have to set the objective and target and implementation plan into your various factories. So that is where planning comes. Now the third, the most important part of the entire pathway is the implementation. Now without implementation, whatever safety policy or planning you do, it is just words, nothing more than that. So implementation is very important, which includes what all activities you are going to do to improve the safety, what all capex is required. Other than capex and capital expenditure, what all documentation you need to make. For example, you need to make safety work permits. Then you have to make HIRA, that is a risk identification and risk assessment, emergency response documentation. So those all things come under implementation. The fourth one is very important, that is measurement and evaluation. In this, what happens that once you have implemented, we need to check whatever we are implementing is actually showing some results or not. So in that, what you will do, you will continuously monitor various KPIs. KPI means key parameter index. You will be doing audit month on month to check that whatever safety standards we have implemented, they have been followed by the people or not. And the final one is the management review. Many companies do the management review every month or quarterly or every 6 months, in which they will see that what are the other improvement opportunities available. So this part, this keeps on going, this is a continual improvement. Once this entire implementation cycle is over, again we will try to harden our safety management. So that next, sorry, Jigesh, next slide please.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is how the safety policy looks like. Jigesh, next slide. Yeah. So these are some of the safety KPIs that have been used to monitor how much effective the safety management system is. Jigesh, next slide. Yeah. So the next slide is how a chemical engineer can help improve the safety of the plant. So I would like to put up some example for that. In various organic companies, we are using various toxic and hazardous chemicals. Now, a chemical engineer with a very good academic background and work experience knows that this toxic substance or chemical can be replaced by a less toxic chemicals. So once you are replacing such type of chemical with a less toxics, you are directly eliminating the hazard that is prevailing in the plant. So this is how a safety manager with a chemical engineering background can improve the safety of the plant. Next example I would like to give is, for example, I am operating a condenser. There is a condenser in my plant which is operating at 50 psi. 50 psi is a very high pressure. In the shell side, the steam is going, and on the tube side, for example, water is flowing to increase its temperature. Now the design pressure of your condenser is only say 65 psi, and you are operating at 50 psi, which is very close. And for example, something happens and your steam pressure inside your condenser goes to 60 psi. So it can actually compromise the safety of the entire equipment and the people who are working over there. And a chemical engineer can come up with a solution that like you can put one safety valve, and also you can set some algorithm use the help of which the steam valve will automatically close if the pressure is reached to 60. So here a chemical engineer role come into picture. What this all suggestion has to come up for a chemical engineer, because the chemical engineer is continuously working on that equipment. He knows what all things can go wrong. So this is how a chemical engineer plays a very important role in increasing the safety of the plant and in operation management. Jigesh, next slide, please. Yeah. Next is the supply chain management. So supply chain management starts with a customer placing an order to buy your finished good, and it ends with customer getting satisfied by the product that you have provided. Now you must be thinking that in supply chain management is a totally different, course. It's a totally different. But why? How can a chemical engineer be helpful in that? You can see that one of the most important part of a supply chain management is the manufacturing. So how can a chemical engineer help reduce the batch cycle time of entire supply chain management? He can do that by process optimization in BCT and automation. Chirag, Jigesh, next slide, please. Yeah. So one of the most important term in supply chain management is optimization and cost reduction. Once you have achieved these two things, you are always ahead of your other competitors. Now, how can a chemical engineer help in supply chain management? He has the knowledge of the manufacturing, by which he can reduce the batch cycle time of the time the raw material enter the plant by the time the finished good goes out of the plant using various automation. Jigesh, next slide, please. Yeah. So I would like to give some example of how chemical engineer can help in process optimization and make a ahead in supply chain management. So for example, that right now in your company, manual packing is happening. So as you know that human intervention is quite unpredictable, and it can happen that like in COVID-19, we are facing a lot of manpower shortage. So in case your company is having a auto packing machine that can help reduce the packing time in your company. Now, how can a chemical engineer help in that? Chemical engineer exactly knows what is the properties of your finished good. So every packing machine is customized with the parameter of the material that it needs to pack. So if you are going for a standard packing machine and it is not matching with the parameter of your product, then you would be investing like 20-30 lakh rupees for the auto packing machine, but you won't be able to gain anything out of it. So here is where a chemical engineer role come into picture. He can help select the right auto packing machine and reduce the time for packing, and thus help the company supply the finished good as quickly as possible to their customer. So I will give one more example is, for example, you are running a product in your plant whose batch cycle time is 30 hours. Now, you know that the industrial standard for producing the same product is 25 hours. So where are you lagging? So such inputs can come by a chemical engineer who has studied the entire process. A chemical engineer has to look at not just a black box, just one equipment. He has to look at what all factors are causing the batch cycle time to be so much. It it can be a utility problem. It can be a problem with the catalyst that we are using. So such type of input coming for a chemical engineer can help optimize the entire process, crunch down the supply chain batch cycle time, and help in supply chain management. Jigesh, next slide, please. Jigesh, next slide.
Process optimization.
Yeah, process optimization just now covered. Yeah.
Okay. Resource
Planning. Now, after the supply chain management, next one is the resource planning. Yeah. So resource planning is not just about resourcing the raw materials or resourcing the finished good and what is the status of it, but it also includes the skilled manpower. It is one of the most important resource of any company that has to be managed very properly. Jigesh, next slide, please. Yeah. So as you can see on the screen, there is one diagram. Nowadays, lot of companies are using various softwares for planning the resources. So you must be thinking that if you are having the software, then what is the need of an engineer to operate that? It can be learned by anybody. But it's not the case. Any chemical manufacturing company is run by a chemical engineer. I mean, he's day in and day out operating various equipments. So he must be having the knowledge of what is the consumption pattern of raw materials, what is the inventory status, what is the manpower availability, what are the equipment status. So collecting all those data and putting in such kind of software, this software can directly give you that if you are starting producing right now, when you would be able to produce the material for your customers. There are various software available in the market by the name of Siemens is also producing, and various other MNCs, so you can go with that. But a chemical engineer would be very important because his knowledge, academic and work experience knowledge, can be useful in operating such kind of software. Jigesh, next slide, please. So last but not the least one is the quality management. Before starting the presentation, I told that whatever operation manager is doing, whether he is doing it for producing quality material to produce as quickly as possible and at the cheapest rate. But out of that, the most important one is the quality. Now, why the quality is so important? Because any customer, I mean, not just any corporate customer, but like people like you and me, we are going to the market. We want that. I mean, if I go for purchasing a biscuit and if I am getting two biscuits, I will always go for the one which quality is better. If the quality is not good, I will never come back to produce get that biscuit. So similarly is with the various products produced in the industry also. So there are two major bifurcation in quality management. One is the quality assurance, another is the quality control. Now, what does the quality assurance do? It looks at the process so that the process produces a right quality of material. And what does the quality control do? Quality control is a set of activity in which he would be inspecting the specification of the raw materials, specification of the intermediate product, of the final product, so that the wrong or lower quality product does not go to our customer. Because if it is going to the customer, then the entire brand value of the company may get also affected. So both of the entity, many of the companies are using QA QC department as one also, and some of them are having a separate QA and separate QC department. But both the roles are very different. This next slide, please. Yeah. So now, what is the role of a chemical engineer in quality? People must be thinking that here where the BSc, MSc experience come into picture, then what can a chemical engineer do? So while what I spoke about is more related to doing the analysis of the raw materials and the finished good, a chemical engineer can play a very important and a crucial role in quality management. For example, in various industry, people are using catalyst to either increase the rate of reaction, or sometimes because of catalyst, the reaction itself is happening. For some of the customers, this catalyst can be very toxic. I mean, while they're using our product in their process, and if this catalyst is somehow reaching into our finished good, then it can be affect our brand value. So a chemical engineer, through its academic experience and the work experience, can come out with various equipment design, or maybe some alternate catalyst which can be easily recovered, and thus it will not end up in the final goods, and our quality is maintained as it should be. So this is how a chemical engineer can play a role in various parts of operation management, which is very crucial. So this is how it is. Yeah. So this is the word cloud of operation management. Operation management job is not a very easy job, and I don't say that only a chemical engineer can do it. All the department can work together. Chemical engineer, mechanical engineer, instrumentation. Everybody has to work together for the operation management to work. But I would say that in a chemical engineering plant, a chemical engineer role is not just related to the production, but it can be used in various departments. They can be useful in safety management, in supply chain and projects. So there's a lot of scope where a chemical engineer's mathematical skills and his chemistry background skill can be used. So here I would like to end my presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Akash Gandhi, for sharing your presentation with us. Now the discussion is open for all. So we can have the discussion for the same. Anyone want to ask any question, or you can generate any query on the message? Mr. Akash, you can see the chat now.
Yeah, sure.
Someone want to ask you something in the form of chat, they may be asking you, or the discussion forum is open. So those who want to ask the question to Mr. Akash, you can unmute and talk directly to Akash. Please.
Hello, Akash sir.
Yeah, hello. Who's this?
Sir, this is Bhavi Pandya, Assistant Professor at Chemical Engineering Department, GC Valsad.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, you explained about this 5 eyes and fishbone diagram.
Yeah.
Sir, I want to ask that 5 eyes, they are actually RCS, right? Risk analysis.
Yeah.
Analysis actually.
Yeah.
Can it go beyond 5 eyes? I mean 6 eyes, 7 eyes, 8 eyes?
Yeah. So actually, 5 eyes is taken as a standard because it is said that most of the solution will come out of if you are asking the question 5 times y. But sometimes it can go by 6y also, 7y also, and sometimes the answer will come within 2y also. So there is always an outlier, but it is said that if there are 100 problems in the plant, then out of that, I am pretty sure that out of that, 85 to 90% of the problem can be solved by if you are keep on asking the y for the 5 times. And sometimes it may go up to 6y also, 7y also, and sometimes you can get the solution by asking 1y also.
And sir, another question.
Yeah.
How a company decide that there are safety policies for the companies, whether to go for 5i analysis for our root cause analysis, or go for this fishbone diagram. In my previous company, we were having 5i, but I don't know the reason behind it.
Yeah, so I would give the answer for that. So the thing is that, sir, fishbone is a totally different concept and 5i is a different concept. The role of fishbone diagram is when to know that what are the problems, while the role of 5i analysis is knowing what is the solution. So like, for example, I will tell that, for example, in my plant, the problem is that my reaction is taking very high time as per the industrial standard. For example, 20 hours for the reaction to happen. So this is one of the problem that came out in the fishbone diagram. That one of the thing is that it may be because of very high cooling water inlet into the reactor. So I will put this problem into 5i. Now I will find out that why is the cooling water inlet temperature very high. So it will come to the second point that lot of scaling has happened in the cooling tower. So why is lot of scaling is happening? Because of lot of pollution and dusting coming from the nearby industry, and because of that. So then I will ask why is lot of pollution and dusting happening? Because it is not covered properly. So finally I will come with a solution. Okay, we have to do the maintenance of our cooling tower every 2 months so that we will not face such kind of problem. So the role of the fishbone diagram is to come up with what are the various problems causing the issue, and the role of 5i is coming out with a solution for that problem.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
There are a lot of questions that are coming on the chat, but Akash sir, are you able to see the chat?
Yeah, sure. I can see the chats. Yeah, just okay.
You can start from the recent question as a fresh chemical engineer.
Okay, this is a question. There's the production of technical say. Thanks a lot for a wonderful. Yeah, so very good question came from Mr. Nitin sir. Yeah, so the thing is that if I talk about myself, I started my working as a production engineer. I was initially production engineer. So during that time, so the thing is that you must have a role in your mind that what you want to do. I mean, after 5 years or 10 years. For example, I thought that I would like to move for a technical services after 5 or 10 years. So while I was working as a production engineer, I concentrated more on what are the problems that are occurring in the plant. And while I got the role of a technical services, now I am working as how to solve this problem. So you can directly go into technical services also, or you can go into production also. Both are having that pros and cons. So I would like to give that answer that there is no just such perfect department. It is all about the future. I mean, what you want to go with after 5 or 10 years. So one of the questions that is come is what is BCT? So BCT is actually batch cycle time. I am really very sorry. I didn't give the expansion of that. So batch cycle time is, for example, you are producing a product. So from the 0 hours from which you have entered the raw material into the system till you get the final product. So that entire period is the BCT, that is the batch cycle time.
Okay, then what are the scope of girls in an industry?
Yeah. So so I would like to give my example only. When I started my career after my college completion, we had like 30 to 40% girls in our department and like 60% boys. So the thing was that those girls, I mean, I would say name them, but they can do all the work that a male engineer is doing. Some of my friends right now who are girls, but they are working as a shift engineer also. Some of them are in project. So some of them are in technical services. So the thing is that nowadays there is no such difference between whether it's a male or female, but both of them can do all the job what the man is doing. You must be knowing that BPCL industry, there is a plant near Mumbai where the entire staff of ladies are coming in night shift also in production. So I would say that role in a chemical engineering of manufacturing field is as much bright as that for a male. Yeah.
Okay, there are a lot of questions are coming.
Yeah.
Akash sir, you can give the answer.
Sure. So one of the questions from Saurabh is what is the difference between hazard and risk? So I would like to give an example. It would be very easy to understand. For example, in my house, the water is lying on the floor. So that water is lying on the floor is a hazard. And if I slip, so that is a risk. So this is the candid difference between a hazard and risk. Hazard is an activity by which a risk can be created. For example, if your railing is broken, that is a hazard, and if you can fall from it, that is the risk. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So one question came from Sejal Patel ji. So BCT can be different from different product. Yeah, of course. So as you know that there are hundreds and thousands of different products that are manufactured in various manufacturing plants within India. So every product has a different BCT. Sometimes some of the products you can produce within 3 hours. Some of the products can take about 20 hours, and some of the products are even taking 150 hours also. So BCT will always going to be different for different products. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, questions are there. Okay, I request the participants if
sir.
you can verbally ask the question. Yes, yes, please.
Hi, sir. Sir, this is Ganavi from BMS College of Engineering. I think you
Yeah,
are
hi.
aware of that Vizag plant leak of chemical vapor. My question is that what are the safety measures that the operating staff could have taken before shutting down that industry? Like, because that styrene vapor should be always in the movement. Because of the lockdown, there was no operations, like there is no chemical reaction. So that what are the safety measures that the operating staff could have taken before?
Yeah. So for example, that every industry are producing different chemicals, and they have a emergency response documentation in which, for example, you need to do a shutdown of the plant, emergency shutdown of the plant. Then you need to follow certain steps. So I'm not aware about what was the gas that got leaked, but I would say that in that emergency response document, for example, if the gas is there, as you just spoke, the gas is there in any industry, if the gas is getting leaked. For example, I will take the case of Bhopal gas tragedy that happened like 40 years back. So in that
Yes, sir.
case, mostly scrubbers are there. Scrubbers are there, which cooling systems are provided, and lot of things are done, which are well documented in the emergency response document. So it is just my rough guess that there may be a chance that the plants wouldn't have been shut down, or there may be some gas that has been trapped within the line, which was released after a few days or during the period of few weeks, which causes the accident happened. But I'm also not aware what can be the main reason. But I would say that a general answer is always follow the emergency response documentation for emergency shutdown of the plant.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir, sir,
Yeah.
sir, my name is Deepak. I am from Indian Institute of Petroleum and Energy from Visakhapatnam.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to ask you that what are the softwares for a chemical engineer that they will use in the industry aspect of it?
Yeah. So if we talk about the production department, then I would say that one of the major time that the production engineers take up is doing the production planning. So it takes a lot of time, lot of efforts. So in the market, there is one software available from Siemens by the name of Reactor. So in that, you can schedule your entire production. So I would say that, for example, a production manager or engineer is taking around daily taking 2 to 3 hours in planning the entire production. Instead of that, you can use such kind of software to plan your production and save that time, which can be used for some other work.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Sir.
Yeah. Hello.
First of all, thank you for an informative presentation with a lot of examples. I have one doubt. So can you just explain me about a little bit about the Lean Six Sigma and how the chemical engineers can be benefit from it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for asking this question, because just 3 months back, I completed my Lean Six Sigma project and acquired my green belt in Lean Six Sigma. So the thing is that Lean means reduction of waste, and Six Sigma means reduction of defects. So combining by reducing the waste and by reducing the defects, you can increase the profitability of your product. So in Lean Six Sigma, there is DMAT process follow, that is define, measure, analysis, improve, and control. And there are various software available in the market by the name of Minitab, which you can use. So what you do in Lean Six Sigma is it's all about data management. So you will be collecting all the data and you will be plotting various graphs to see that how your process is behaving. So if, for example, that you have found out you have collected lot of data of BCT, that is batch cycle time, and you see that once every month it is taking only 22 hours, while the average is 35. So you can study that why it is taking 22 and how you can reduce that 35 hours of batch cycle time to 22. So increase the production of the plant without investing anything.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
I am Keyur. Which is the plant is based DCS अथवा manually?
Sorry?
Which is the plant is based DCS अथवा manually?
I would suggest that as you can see that right now, I would suggest that DCS is a better plan because there is a reason for that. Still, it will depend on the product you are making. But the thing is that we want the humans should come in less contact with various hazardous chemicals that are being used in the plant. So if the plant is more manual, that more number of people has to be in daily touch with the raw materials, then volatile organic smell that is coming out of it. So if the plant is more DCS, in that case, what will happen that person, the employee that is working in that company can be safe and away from the process so that we can ensure the safety of the person. But yeah, I would say that sometimes it is good to have the mixture of DCS and some amount of manual intervention also, because few things that DCS cannot do, maybe it can do in the future, but right now it cannot do, can be done manually only. So it's always good to have a blend of both.
Okay, thank you. And
Hello.
pressure is
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Keyur.
and the freshers is the which subject are based in interview?
Sorry.
Interview or which subject are based? Interview
I would
question
suggest
fresher.
I would suggest Jigesh sir to answer this.
I think all the operations like mass transfer, heat transfer, instrument process control, process calculation, all the operations which are related to the chemical engineering are all important. And after studying all these operations, at the end you have to learn what is operation management, what Akash has already told today.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
it
Sir.
okay, Keyur? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Akash sir.
Yeah, hello.
Sir, I have a problem related to safety. I have one question.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah.
in any company, process safety or simple safety officer is a different or same thing?
See, process safety is actually a process, while safety process safety is a role, while safety officer is a designation. So process safety is just a part of what a safety officer needs to do. So a job of a safety officer is look out at how we can improve the safety of the process, and also not just of the process but other things also, like road safety. Then one thing is process safety. Like in COVID-19, the job of the safety officer has been elaborated. He just don't have to look at the safety of the people from in the process, but also from each other. Like if right now, as you can see that COVID-19 is quite a contagious disease. So a safety officer has to look at the factor that lot of people are not gathering together. So I would say that safety officer role is very wide, out of which process safety is just one part of it.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Vaibhavji, I think you are presenting.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, I think we are listening, sir.
Hello, Mr. Akash Gandhi.
Yeah. Hello, Pratik. How are you?
Yes, sir. Fine, sir. Fine, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Good morning. Tell
First of
me.
all, I would like to thank you for giving us such a beautiful presentation and giving such a good information to us. Sir, my question,
Sure, thanks.
myself Pratik Gandhi, and I am from the safety department and working in one of the consultancies in the Surat. So my question is, as based on the current situation, as there are the lack of the workers in the chemical-based companies, but the demand of the any product is the same. So how the chemical engineers are contributing to meet the demand of the other companies, though there is a lack of the workers in the company?
Yeah. So thing is that actually we would treat this situation last 2-3 months is like a awakening for various chemical industries who has been manually operating. So now, as I'm also working in an industry, so like chemical industry, I mean, what is happening is now the people are going to the plant. They are operating the plant with as less people as possible. But now, what a chemical engineer need to do is he has to move toward digitization, so that they can, even if such a situation happens in the future, then chemical engineers along with other departments like instrumentation and mechanical engineer have to work together, collaborate, and find out a solution that if such a situation happen in the future also, then still how they can run their plant and produce more material with less manpower. So right now they won't be able to do much because of the inherent properties of a chemical manufacturing plant in which a lot of people are required. But moving forward, the role of chemical engineer in digitalization is going to be enormous. So I would like to say that further.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure, thanks.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
So my question is, what actually industry is looking from the freshers apart from curriculum academics?
Yeah. So I would say like I joined MNC company like 5.5 years back. So various companies have various expectations from their new joinees. If the company I was working in, they looked every freshers just like the future site head. Yeah. So they looked at you are a prospector's next site head of the site in which you are working. So they would expect that you work and learn everything. So I would say that from every company, from the freshers, expect two things. One thing you learn, and next thing you contribute. So the thing is that a freshers is having a very good grasp on the mass balance, heat balance, and their academic knowledge is very, very bright as compared to people who are working like for 10 years in the same process. So they want the freshers to bring out those new ideas and present it so that the process of the plant can be optimized.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, we are open for the questions, please.
Yeah.
Akash, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I wanted to ask that recently data science is like a booming term. So how can we use data science to optimize the chemical processes?
Yeah, so it's a very good and interesting question. So the thing is that in any chemical in any chemical manufacturing plant, if even I take an example of just one reactor, in a reactor, agitator is moving so that its RPM is one data. It is attached with a motor. So motor power consumption is another data. Next data is what is the temperature profile during the reaction is happening. Another is the pressure inside the reactor. So the thing is that I would say that if I count in one equipment only 4 to 5 parameters are getting generated. So if we talk about the entire chemical plant, there are like thousands of parameters that are getting generated every second. So the role of a chemical engineer is he can help a data scientist to identify which of the parameters can help them optimize their process. So for example, like out of these 5 parameters, maybe the temperature is the one which is the most important one. So this chemical engineers can collaborate with the data scientist, and they can give the suggestion that you more concentrate on this temperature profile, so that if you get the temperature profile and if you will analyze it, you can reduce the batch cycle time or you can optimize your process. So this is how a data scientist and a chemical engineer can work together to increase the productivity and optimize the chemical manufacturing process.
Hello. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Hello. Yeah, you're audible.
Sir, I am Dhanapriya. I have a question, sir. Hello. Can you hear me,
Hello?
sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
It's regarding heat and mass balance. While studying in a book, we not get some idea regarding heat and mass balance. Then what is the qualification, or how can I learn regarding this heat and mass balance other than getting experience from industry?
Yeah, so the thing is that, just 1 second. So for that, what you can do is, as an industry can provide, while you're working in an industry, you would be seeing the actual equipment, and if you are doing the material balance for that, so that would be more useful, I would say. But as you're saying that you don't have the option of working in the industry and you want to still work it out on the heat and mass balance, in that case, what you can do is, you can Google out, there are, for example, you can take name of any XYZ chemical, and you can Google out that what is the what is the chemical manufacturing, manufacturing process for that. So you can take that manufacturing process, then you can see what are the raw material used, and you know the reaction chemistry. So based on that, you can try it out at home also, that if I am taking this much amount of raw material, then what are the processes involved in that, how much heat may be required. So this is one of the way of working out at home also for heat and mass balance.
Thank you so much, sir. Another question.
Yeah.
Which industry is best, pharma or petrochemical? If I want to go to petrochemical, what is the qualification needed as a fresher?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. See, petrochemical and pharma both are a very different, I would say, career option, because in pharma you have to concentrate more on like specialty chemical. It's just like a specialty chemical in which everything would be very small. The equipment would be very small, the production also will be very less, but the price of the product will be very high. While if you are in petrochemical, if I talk about just Reliance, the thing is that there you have to deal with the bulk chemicals. Everything would be very huge. But the thing is that quality is more stringent in pharma industries as compared to petrochemical. So the thing is that it's a very different career option. Both are good, but it's an option, yeah, whether you want to work in a pharma where everything is more, the main KPI of the pharma company is the quality. A lot of pharma companies have got closure in the past because they are not able to meet the quality standard. While in petrochemical, the more important is how much you are producing and with how much safety. Because in petrochemical, safety is a very major concern, because everything is so much in such a bulk quantity, and if something, even if the small thing goes wrong, then there can be a catastrophe. So both are a very different career option, but I would say that if you are going into any, the future is bright. There is nothing like that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
Sir, this is Abhi.
Hello.
Hello. Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you're audible.
Sir, first of all, thank you so much for having such a great session. Sir, I have a doubt that, sir, in the field of nanotechnology, as a chemical engineer, what one should have to do to go beyond?
Yeah, so actually, nanotechnology is a very specialization field. When I did my chemical engineering, though I have studied some part of nanotechnology, but if one want to pursue his career within nanotechnology, then the option is you can work with some R&D centers who are working in, who are having a collaboration with chemical industries, and they are making and researching on the product on how the nanotechnology will be useful. So based on that, what you will happen is you will get the industrial exposure also. And second thing is working in R&D, you can pursue your further studies also, which will in-depth your knowledge about nanotechnology. So this is, I would prefer, would be a right path to do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
Sir, myself Neil. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Sir, myself Neil. So my question is whether we go for a gate or any go for industry working.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say, I would just like to ask one question. I mean, what is the career option you are evaluating after giving the gate?
So I would go for ONGC and petrochemical.
Yeah, so in that case, I would say that it's all about a career option. If you are targeting some PSU companies like ONGC, BPCL, or something of that sort of, then you can go for a gate and you can try out for that. Or otherwise, you can also go for industrial exposure. But the thing is that it is, I mean, what is your preference? That would matter more. If you are precise about targeting like PSUs, then I would say you directly go for gate. Or what you can do is you can start working in some chemical manufacturing site, and parallelly also you can prepare for gate, because your knowledge would be very fresh, because you have just come out of the college, so your knowledge about the academic would be very fresh. So you can gain the industrial exposure also, and simultaneously you can spend 2 to 3 hours preparing for the gate, and you can give the gate and move ahead. But if the decision should be, of course, yours. It's up to you what you want to achieve in your life.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Good morning.
Sir, my question is, as I'm in the working in a safety consultancy, and I have been visiting many of the pharmaceutical and different kinds of the companies. So when the India was on the verge of the lockdown, I visited few of the companies, and from there I came to know that the companies are giving the product. Their production is in the full swing. What they used to produce, more than that they are producing. So on the basis of increasing the production, is there any change in the operating parameters of any reactor or whatever the production that they are doing?
Yeah, of course. See, the thing is that increase in production can be done by many ways. One of them is you would put up a new equipment, you would invest some capital money, and you will increase the production. And second thing is, like I just now spoke about various tools that a chemical engineer can use, like fishbone diagram, Kaizen. He can use this Viva analysis, and he can discuss with the team, because what happens that in any chemical manufacturing plant, lot of knowledge is available with the people who are working day in and day out with various equipments. But these tools like fishbone and Viva analysis are the tools to gather that ideas and put it into implementation. So these tools can help you increase the production without investing certain money. And as you talk about the parameter, it depends on the process. In some of the process, you can increase the production with just playing around with the parameter using some data science knowledge. And in some of the process, it may not be even feasible. So it depends on the process that we are working on, I would say.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, any participant want to ask something? Please. Before I give a final note, I would ask any of the participant or any participant voluntarily can give feedback to the
Sir, I want to ask one question.
Yes.
This was a very nice lecture which was given by you, and I am from the Professor Sagar.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Mr. Sagar, your voice is not audible.
Can you hear me now?
No, still it is Very
Yeah.
volume is very less.
Okay, sir, I want to ask, first of all, it was a very nice platform, and this webinar I learned good things about your department. But since I am from the faculty of architecture, I have a question regarding sustainability. Although this might be a little bit diverted from the topic. What I want to ask is, how is the common effluent treatment plants, all the industrial wastage which are diverted into the common effluent treatment plants, are everybody connect with the common effluent treatment plants, or and following all the guidelines and the norms, or how is it the current scenario?
Yeah, so talking about the current scenario, though there is a common effluent treatment plant, but still every company has to have a separate ETP at their site also, because common effluent treatment plant itself is having certain norms that should be there in the inlet parameter of any industry. But there is one more scheme available, if, for example, your company is having a product, effluent treatment, effluent stream that is going in common effluent treatment plant, which is having, for example, very high TDS. So there is a possibility it requires some workout also, that is there any other industry nearby who is having very less TDS? So with the government, contacting the government and that company, you people can collaborate and can think how you can mix both the streams, so that the stream that is at the end going in the common effluent treatment plant is having less TDS, COD, BOD compared to just one company. So here a lot of work is required. You have to research on various effluent that is coming out of nearby companies. You have to take the government permission also, whether you people can do such kind of thing or not. So if everything comes in line, this is one of the solution in which you can increase the collaboration with your nearby industry, and at the same time you can maintain the parameter of your effluent.
Okay, sir.
Sir, after completing BTech in chemical engineering, sir, it is better to choose MBA rather than choosing masters in a prescribed field.
Yeah, so that's a very good question, say. The thing is about, actually after completing my chemical engineering also, I was in a dilemma that what should I do? So what I did is I gave it a try for 1 year. I worked in the company, I got placed and I worked in a company. And I saw that along with me, various MBA people were working, various MTech people were working, and various chemical engineering were also working, who were pursuing their career in various industries. So it will depend upon the choice and your interest. So what I would suggest, if you have already got some job, so in that job you can analyze the work that various people are doing. The people who has done MBA, who has done masters in chemical, and who are just chemical engineer BTech. So the job profile that you like out of the three can help you reduce this dilemma, and you can choose that which field to pursue further.
Sir, my future planning is to have a business.
Yeah, so so that is you have already decided that you need to go in MBA. Then I would say that rather than stretching yourself in the same field, if your interest is more towards MBA, then I would suggest you should pursue MBA. But I would suggest that you should have a talk with various people who are already completed their MBA and doing their business, working with various MNC after MBA, who has done their masters in chemical and then they are working, and who has done after BTech and then they are working, and take their review, and then you can take, because once you have done MBA, then without taking the consent of your friends who has already done MBA, so there won't be any going back. So talking with your friends, I would suggest that will help you out with choosing a right career option.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
I have a question, sir. As in case if I want to do private business in future, After the 5 to 10 years of experience, then which is the department in which I should keep my more concentration on?
Yeah, so this is a very good question, I would say. See, if you are thinking of doing a business after, like, for example, 10 years, then it will depend on which kind of business you want to do. Of course, I would say that MBA degree would also help because business, as per my experience, business along with the technical knowledge also require the knowledge about full knowledge of financial management, then supply chain management, and all the other entities playing into picture. So if you are looking, for example, you want to do a business which include like some chemical and require more technical knowledge, so you should get into production. If you are thinking of starting a consultancy after 10 years, a technical consultancy, then you should, I would suggest, get in touch with project team or get into project team or technical, so something like that sort of. So it will depend on your what you are thinking, what kind nature of the business that you are planning to do. But yeah, I would say that one suggestion, that just personal suggestion, that along with your chemical degree, while you are working, you also can get a part-time MBA done, so that you get the knowledge of various aspects that come into picture when you are doing a business. Because in business nowadays, lot of things is happening, and it's just not how cheaply you are producing your product, but lot of things like marketing also is a very important factor when you are doing a business. If you are producing a very good material, but you are not able to market it, so your product won't be any good in the market. So I would suggest that it will depend on which kind of business you want to do. Plus, you can pursue some online courses for MBA and other things that is required to pursue a business.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your great suggestion. I will keep in mind.
Sure. Thank you, Rahul.
Okay, any questions? If there is no question, we are ending up. Anyone want to give the feedback? Voluntarily can give the feedback for the today's session to the expert. Yes, anyone want to give some feedback? You can give it verbally, so that the expert can also hear that. See, we all are chemical engineers or related to chemical engineering field, and we believe that learning every day will increase our knowledge, and this is what the thing we believe. So if you are giving any feedback to the expert, then I would say expert will definitely improve on that, and definitely it will be a suggestion or some information for all of us.
Hello, this is Dhanapriya, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Hello, this is Dhanapriya,
hello.
sir.
Hello.
This is Dhanapriya, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Very thank you for your informative presentation, sir. And we got some information regarding this operation management. Not fully, but we get something regarding this operation management. And once again, very thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Okay, if no one is coming up, then thank you, Mr. Akash.
Thank you, Jagesh, for inviting.
You just accepted my invitation, as we were both at the same age, entered into the chemical engineering field, and we both are observing the industries last since 5 years. You are from industry background and I am from academic background. So it is really a great cluster that we are making, connecting the academics with the industry. And thank you very much for such a good presentation. And even I got one suggestion that can we have this presentation, what is the operation management, in the form of lecture series, So the participants want to learn each and every point, like safety management as one lecture, then operation management as another lecture. So it's a lecture series that some of the participants have already given me a WhatsApp message. So we'll also look into that if it is possible in the future. And on behalf of Chemical Engineering Department, TP Savani University School of Engineering, I want to thank you for such a great presentation. And with this, if anyone want to give a final feedback, then again it is open. Otherwise, we will close the session.
Hello.
Sure. Yeah.
Hello. I would like to thank Mr. Jigesh Mehta and Mr. Akash Gandhi for creating such a wonderful webinar and giving us such a wonderful experience of having such a good discussion among you and clearing out my few of the doubts that I had regarding the operations. Thank you once again, Mr. Jigesh Mehta and Mr. Akash Gandhi. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so with this, I take up the lead that we are going to close. I will share the presentation to all the participants soon today, and the e-certificates will be generated soon and it will be given to you within 2 days. So thank you. With this, we are closing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.